So I've decided to let go of the Mission 770S speakers that I picked up with my NAD receiver last week or 2 weeks ago. They're good speakers, but I just have so many speakers in my apartment, and I have a very small apartment. And I wasn't really intending on buying these speakers. I just sort of bought them on a whim in a package deal. Anyway, I think I'm going to let them go. I've posted them for sale, and I have a couple of people interested in them so far. But I just figured I'd make a quick video on them before I do let them go. Just want to point out that these speakers have a natural real wood veneer finish. I believe it's walnut. It's in very good condition. All 4 corners of both speakers, all 8 corners of both speakers are intact and without any dings or dents. Cabinets are great. The grills don't have any broken pegs. The grill material itself is in good condition and very minimal pilling on it though, but still good condition, very, very presentable. What else can I say about these things? They, in terms of their sound character, what I can tell you about them is they are 40-year-old speakers, so you have to finesse them a little bit in terms of their setup. They don't provide, as modern day speakers do, a really focused center image. They do have a center image if you set them up correctly. It's just not as sharply delineated as you get with more modern designs. But that's typical of speakers from 35, 40 plus years ago. And they're very open sounding, very, very wide open sound field. They're very fussy in terms of setup, so it really is important to spend some time to set them up. A little bit of toe in, a little bit of toe out, depending on the situation. Well, a little bit of toe in would be required to get the image a little bit focused. You can't toe them in too much, or it'll be a little bit too sharp sounding. So you got to find a happy medium somewhere. Now, one thing I did notice with these speakers is they're a little light in the bass region. They're good from the mid-range on up, and they're nice and open sounding, presenting a really big sound image. But the lower frequencies are a little on the light side. So I have too much clutter in my place, as you can see, to put them any closer to the wall to really see if they can do well without a subwoofer. But in my room, I did connect them with a small subwoofer, and an inexpensive subwoofer, but a small subwoofer that I've got situated right there, just to fill in the lower registers. And in doing so, these things do provide a humongous sound. Not unlike the way my ADS L730s produce a humongous sound. These guys are very similar in that regard. Mission is a UK design speaker, but they were actually built here in Canada. Excuse me. So I just wanted to make mention of that as well. From what I understand, though, Canadian productions were exactly the same as the productions in the UK. They just figured, I guess Mission just figured that it would be more reasonable to have their speakers just built here rather than shipping everything over. I guess that's what I'm surmising. I don't know that for a fact, though. Maybe somebody else can chime in. But another thing I can say about these things, they're a very easy drive. And I would absolutely recommend a warm and robust amp with them. Yeah, I can extract more detail using my exposure amplifier than I can with the NAD receiver that I got with them. But the NAD receiver does give them a little bit more authority. It's a little bit higher powered than my exposure amp, and it has more dynamic headroom. And it's a much warmer, as I said, it's a much warmer sound. So it seems to match a little bit better with the Missions than a brighter amp. So not that the exposure is bright, it's just a lot more detailed than the NAD. I mean, it's acceptable with the Missions, provided that I fill in the bottom with the sub. But if I'm not using the sub, then I think I would prefer to use the NAD amp with these speakers. But again, with these things, placement, as with any speaker, placement is really key in terms of extracting the best out of them, the best performance out of them. But again, vintage speakers, they do require a little more finessing as far as I'm concerned. There is a center image, as I mentioned, but it's not as clearly delineated as you would get with more current speakers, even the likes of these Roids that I have here, which are not new. They're still vintage, but they're newer than these Missions. The speakers do well on stands between 12 and I'm going to guess 16 inches tall. I put them on 20-inch stands at one point, but the tweeters were just too far above my ears when I was in the seated listening position. So it just sounded a little bizarre to me. It sounded a little off. With that said, though, these speakers are so room filling that I mean, they're, how can I say this? You can walk around the room and get decent sound, excuse me, no matter where you are in the room while they're playing, because these things produce such a big and open sound that it's very room filling. So that's something that I've noticed, but that is at the expense of, like I said a little bit earlier, a focused image right in the center. It's a little bit more vague than more modern designs, but you can still, if you take care in setup, you can still get a pretty decent center image. I do like them. Very open, very big sounding. Just too many other speakers in the house at the moment. Anyhow, I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. I really like them, but I can't keep everything. My apartment's too small. I've got like 4 pairs of speakers right here in front of me. I've got some speakers that I've tucked in here behind my couch. I've got speakers in my closet. I've got speakers over here at my computer. And I've got more in storage in the basement. So yeah, too much of a good thing. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll see you later. Take care. I'll be making a video on the NAD receiver sometime in the future, so that's something you might want to look forward to. That thing looks pretty good, doesn't it? See you guys. Bye.